Hello everyone, this is In-Game Mars with another unboxing and breakdown of the demo. This is God of War, the reboot sequel to the series. Now God of War is a series that I've been following and been part of for a very long time, so I was very interested to get my hands on the new release of the new God of War and its new direction it has gone. But before we go into the game, I want to start off, there was a 1.3 gigabyte update. It mostly showed various fixes and bugs and everything like that, but I do want to inform you I did play the entire game without updating it, and I didn't experience any game-breaking bugs or anything like that. But as well, there is a redeem code for my pre-order bonus down in the description, so first come, first serve. I think it just comes with shield variations and appearance. I think it's just cosmetic only. I do not know, but remember, it is a US only redeem code. Now into God of War. God of War is a series that I've been a part of for a very long time, like I stated, and I've played every single one of them, and I can proudly say that I have platinumed every single one of them, as well as I have beaten them all on the highest difficulty. I love the original God of Wars. I love the gameplay, I love the story, and I love the entire world of God of War, and Kratos is one of my most favorite characters in gaming. So, when I saw the new direction they went with the new E3 showings and stuff like that, I was very skeptical and on edge with the new gameplay, different camera angles, and just the overall story direction. So, as I've said, I was a little bit worried and I was eager to see maybe if I was disproven. As well as there's been a lot of people praising it, giving it 10 out of 10, calling it a masterpiece and everything like that. So, I thought I'd give my 2 cents on the subject. To start off, I'll be straightforward with you. God of War, the reboot sequel, is an average game. Much like Metal Gear Solid 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us, and so on, they're not as good as people try to say they are. But they're not bad games either. I want to make that very clear. They are decently fun games you can enjoy, but they're nowhere near what people are trying to say are great games. Now, again, people are going to take that the wrong way, but I want to start off by saying that I don't really care too much for the camera angle of the newer style. I think the camera is a little too close to Kratos, and oftenly I have had myself with struggles with it where I'm constantly saying, I can't see. I mean, there were several times I died because I couldn't see the enemy swing, variation swings, and all that. As well as that, the companion is an interesting element to the game. I thought he interested in cool combat. I love how he blends in very smoothly, but I have oftenly got myself killed because I got stumbled across him, like I bumped into him, because he's a real object. You can't go through him, and I often got killed because of that. So it was a little annoying, as well as his constant talking was a little annoying as well. I can't count how many times I've heard him say, "Father, watch out! Father, watch out! Father, watch out!" Or, "I wish Mom was here. I wish Mom was here. I wish Mom was here." It just got really dull and really repetitive really quickly. As well as the gameplay does that same thing as well. It gets really dull and repetitive pretty quickly and very early in the game. As well as the story doesn't really impact me as much as the original. As well as Kratos is not as interesting as a character as he once was. People say he's not one-dimensional as he was in the first original one, but I say he's more one-dimensional than he ever has been, due to the fact of his father and daddy needs to do. He's more like Mr. Sensitive now, and I'm not a big fan of this. Now, again, people are going to take this as though I'm saying it's a bad game. I just don't agree with the direction they have gone. Now, the game is a reboot and a redirection for the series, and it seems that people really like it, but I can't claim to be one of them. The game is decent. That's the best way I can describe it. With Kratos being, best way to describe it, God of War is like the censored, neutered version of God of War. It doesn't have the violence, the anger, the rage, the brutality that I've come to love from the series. As well as the enemies don't seem to have as variety as they did beforehand, and I do miss a lot of the executions they had for the previous one. A lot of them are just oftenly the same kind of execution without very little variation. Again, there is a lot of good things to the game, though. I love the axe, I love the throwing ability, I love the combat of its maneuvers and stuff like that. And I love the certain little mechanics they have in the game, like doing the little puzzles and stuff like that. There's a lot of neat little options in the game. And again, it's not me trying to say the game is bad or not to buy it. It just doesn't live up to the legend of the original series, or even close to it. Much like I said, like Metal Gear Solid 5. How the best way to describe it? It's like it's Metal Gear Solid 5 and The Last of Us, or even Horizon. It starts off with a great bang, and it's very interesting. But after you get through that bang, it becomes really dull and repetitive. I can't count how many times I was on a boat just swimming along and just being extremely bored. Just means swimming along on this boat. It just was not interesting. But most people know I'm not hugely into open world games, and I actually really enjoy this kind of style open world game in this game, where it's not about overly oversized world, but interesting design concepts of directions you can go with a reward at the end. It is kind of cool to go all these different directions and have a different experience through them, but again, they don't feel like they serve a purpose to the God of War series. It just, again, it felt like nothing but filler. And that is not a good thing. It's not like the side quest felt necessary or had purpose to do. It just was there as resource grind. So I didn't care for that as into my God of War series. As well as the game can be quickly summarized as 3 games. Think of Tomb Raider's progression and exploration, think of Dark Souls gameplay, and think of The Last of Us story. There you go. That's God of War, the sequel reboot. It's just not very inspiring and very interesting in that field. Again, it's not a bad game, it's just not a very original game. And for some reason, it's getting a lot of praise for not being very creative. It's got interesting elements that's really worth praising, and that's why I consider it a decently good game, above average. And it's well worth your time to pick up and play. But it is nowhere near what people are saying one of the legendary games to buy on your console. It is not a console seller, I can tell you that right now. But there are a lot of cool things they add in the game. I like the customization and stuff like that, the armor outfits, even though a lot of them are kind of ugly, but they are all pretty cool, and I love how you can upgrade them, as well as get all the skill bonuses and stuff like that, and do all the forge work and get the materials. It's really cool. I love those mechanics in games, but it's not something I actually really thought I wanted in my God of War series, and it still isn't. I just more spent most of my time wishing I was playing the original God of Wars than this. I actually became so bored with the game that I actually started struggling just to get through it. The only character I actually found very interesting in the game was actually Kratos' wife, Faye. I was actually more interested in her than the kid or even the villains in the game. Most of the villains were poorly done and very uninteresting to fight, as well as most of them looked the same. Very, very few interesting boss fights, and the ones that's out there didn't really stand out compared to the past series. As well as that, like I said, the enemies in the game all were pretty much the same carbon copy. And every execution, even with those different kind of variations, are the same execution. I remember the old God of Wars having different executions for each different version of that kind of enemy. And again, I know people are going to take this like I'm saying this is a bad game, and I do not want to come off that way. But I do not want to praise a game that's not worthy of such praise, especially a series I come to love and greatly adore from the previous of its series. God of War is just a decent game. I know a lot of people are going to be disappointed by my statements and stuff like that, and a lot of people are not going to agree with it, and that's perfectly fine. It's a game that you may really enjoy, but I am not one of them. I'm not really eager for the sequel, especially if it's going to keep with this formula of basically carbon copy of Dark Souls, of dodge and parry and twirl. And again, there's nothing wrong with that gameplay. I just didn't really want that in my God of War, and I'm not very interested in the whole dad-of-boy style either. What is with games now including an annoying child that apparently is very interesting to people? I don't know. I didn't like Ellie from The Last of Us. I don't like this kid either. They're just annoying. And again, I know people are not going to be happy about that statement, but it's just how I feel. God of War is just disappointing to me. It could have been better. It should have been better. But it doesn't matter. People love it, and people are going to praise it. It just proved to me that a game doesn't have to be original. It just needs to have pretty graphics and just put an annoying child into it. There you go. 10 out of 10. But, like always, I will leave links down in the description for your Insta-copy. That's entirely up to you. If you do not disagree with me, that's perfectly fine with me. Again, thank you all for watching. I know you guys are probably going to hit that last dislike button, but again, hit that like, subscribe button if you want to see more videos from me. And I'll see you guys in my next episode. Bye-bye!
Thought I wasn't ready.
You are not. We have no choice now. Prove me wrong.
Yes, sir.